Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're looking at something a bit different, actually. It's a personal weekly review from June 8th, 2025.
Right, not your typical source. Forget polished reports. This is what's raw data. Just one person tracking their week.
Exactly, covering a huge range of stuff: health, productivity, hobbies, you name it.
It really is like getting a peek behind the curtain, isn't it? You see the goals, the targets, and then, well, the messy reality of trying to hit them all at once.
Yeah, it's definitely not perfect, which is kind of why it's so useful. It shows what habit building actually looks like.
Uh-huh. Messy is a good word for it. Insightful, too.
Absolutely. So our mission here is basically to sift through this review, pull out the key insights about tracking progress when you're juggling a lot, and see what the little details tell us about making habits stick.
And there's a lot to cover. We've got health stuff like sleep and steps, mental practices, learning goals like coding and writing, even hands-on things like gardening.
A real mix. It really shows how interconnected everything is, I think.
Definitely. So where should we start? Health.
Yeah, let's jump in with health. First up, sleep. Goal was 7 hours a night,
Okay, standard enough.
and the review says the average was 7.43 hours for the week. Sounds pretty good, right?
On the surface, yeah. But averages can hide things.
Exactly. Because it also mentions hitting 8 hours some nights, but only 6 on others, even a late evening nap thrown in.
Hmm. Oh, variable. Did they feel okay, though?
Apparently, yes, they felt well rested despite the swings. But, and this is interesting, they also noted several instances of inflammation during the week.
Ah, okay. So that's fascinating. The average looks fine, but the day-to-day is all over the place. That variability, well, it matters.
Right.
Short sleep, even if you average out okay, can still build up a debt.
Yeah.
And mentioning inflammation right alongside the sleep data, that's crucial.
It suggests the connection, maybe?
Yeah, it suggests the body might be telling a slightly different story than the subjective feeling of being rested, or even the average number. Are the metrics the whole picture, or is the body signaling something else?
That's a really good point. Okay, moving on to steps. Physical activity. Daily target was 5,600 steps.
Okay.
The weekly average, comfortably higher, 6,539 steps.
Nice. So they beat the target on average.
Yeah, and the heat map showed 4 days over 7,000 steps, hitting that kind of generally recommended range.
But I sense a butt coming.
Yeah. There was also one day down at like 4,508 steps.
Okay, so that kind of highlights something important about tracking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Progress isn't always a straight lineup.
Not at all.
They clearly crush the target most days, which is great. Yeah. Shows dedication. But life happens, right? There are off days.
For sure.
And tracking isn't just about celebrating the wins, it's about seeing that whole picture. The dips, the averages, how it all balances out.
Interesting. Okay, what about intermittent fasting? Aiming for 16.8.
Right.
But because of that inflammation we mentioned, the window got scaled back, down to 12 hours for several days.
Okay, so here's another insight maybe. Life isn't lived in neat little boxes.
Definitely not.
A physical issue, the inflammation, directly impacts a totally different habit, the fasting.
Right. And what about weight? Started at 67.80 kilograms, went up a bit midweek to 68.40 kilograms,
Okay, little bump.
but then ended the week trending down at 67.25 kilograms. So a net decrease of 0.55 kilograms. Weekly average was 67.86 kilograms.
So despite the fasting change and that initial weight bump, the overall trend for the week was still downwards. That's resilience.
Yeah, it is.
It shows how consistency, even if it's imperfect, even if real life throws curveballs, can still pay off over time. The average weight is just a snapshot, really.
Yeah.
Tracking the trend within the week tells you more.
Good point. Okay, diet. Notes mention a mix of home cooking, some takeout, aiming for that 1.2.2 ratio plants, protein, carbs.
Okay, a rough guideline. Anything specific?
Yeah, a specific goal was upping fiber intake, targeting 400 to 500 grams of veggies or fruits daily.
That's quite specific. And ambitious. 400, 500 grams, a fair bit.
It is. And, predictably perhaps, cheat days were also noted in the review.
Well, there you go. That feels like another key point. Sustainability often means flexibility, right?
Yeah, totally.
Being super rigid, it's just not realistic for most people long term. So acknowledging the cheat days, tracking them even, that's actually important for understanding the real pattern.
Makes sense. Okay, beyond just steps, the review lists other movement integrated into the day.
Oh yeah, like what?
Light walks after meals, socializing, gardening, raking leaves, just general house chores.
So activities everywhere, basically.
Exactly. They even considered adding simple push-ups as a new daily habit.
That's smart. It highlights that exercise doesn't have to mean going to the gym for an hour. Raking leaves is activity. Chores are activity.
Right.
And recognizing that, maybe even tracking it loosely, gives you a much fuller picture of your energy output. It shows how you can build activity into life naturally. And considering push-ups, that's a great example of a simple low-barrier way to add some strength work.
Okay, great points. Let's shift gears a bit. From the body to the mind, meditation is in there.
Okay. How was that
Good.
approached?
The goal was to exercise the mind. But the practice sounds really brief, like 3 steps, sitting for about 1 minute.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah, just 1 minute. And then walking meditation for maybe 1 to 5 minutes, often done during other things like walks or raking or chores.
Integrating it.
Right. They noted mentally observing thoughts and emotions, trying to maintain a stoic approach, even with those inflammation incidents.
That's really interesting. It's not about these long, deep sessions most people imagine.
No.
It's more like consistency in microdoses.
Yeah.
That's powerful too. Just a minute of sitting or a few minutes of mindful walking while doing something else.
Seems tiny, right?
Tiny, but doable. Doing it regularly builds the habit, reinforces the practice, and linking it explicitly to Stoicism shows the intent using these mental exercises to handle real-world stuff like physical discomfort.
Good connection. Okay, what about learning or creating? Cooking is listed. Goal, taking control, learning skills.
Right, specifics.
Targets were learning fast vegetable prep, like for miso soup, and different egg recipes. Apparently, they currently only do hard-boiled.
Okay, so the intention is clear. Gain skills, feel more in control. But the action this week seems, well, pretty basic. Focusing on miso soup additions, identifying the egg gap.
Yeah, not exactly culinary breakthroughs.
It shows that just listing a goal doesn't mean instant, massive progress, does it? Maybe time was tight. Maybe that skill building just wasn't the top priority this particular week, even though it's on the list.
Seems likely. Okay, decluttering. Tied to minimalism. The core habit tract is interesting. Clear 1 item from any area on the way to the kitchen.
1 item. That's it.
That's the habit. This week, it mostly happened in the front yard, apparently. Rearranging flower pots. Ties back to gardening.
Interesting overlap.
Workspace decluttering was just minor paperwork. But importantly, the review explicitly mentions no progress on getting replacement curtains or dealing with a neglected drawer.
That clear 1 item habit. That's a brilliant example of a tiny habit, isn't it? 1 item feels trivial, almost silly. But if you do it consistently, it adds up. But then seeing where it didn't get applied, the curtains, the drawer, that's just as important as the successes.
How is that?
It flags specific areas of resistance, or maybe just where the bandwidth ran out that week. It shows even a good micro-habit might not magically fix everything, especially when you're balancing so many goals. And seeing it applied to the garden shows how these habits can sometimes spill over unexpectedly.
Yeah. Okay, reading. Goals were improving writing, consuming wisely, boosting mental health.
Broad goals. Any specific?
A specific book on managing hypertension, blood sugar, that sort of thing was listed. Status. Nothing on this yet.
Didn't get to it.
Nope. But they did spend 5-10 minutes daily browsing various other books, fiction, gardening titles.
Okay, so that's classic, isn't it? Energy and motivation. They aren't spread evenly across all your goals.
Exactly.
That specific, potentially quite dense health book, untouched. But the lower effort habit of just browsing for short bursts, especially on topics maybe more immediately engaging like fiction or gardening, which we know they were active in. That did happen. Consistently. Exactly. So the intention to read the health book lost out to the easier, maybe more enjoyable activity of browsing. Lower activation energy wins sometimes.
Makes sense. Coding goals next. Building stuff, learning, contributing to open source specifically. Go, Python, Elixir, Erlang, or Rust. That GPR acronym.
Ambitious goals. How'd it go?
Daily PR contribution status.
Yeah.
Hopping through GitHub repositories adjusting trivial typos.
Trivial typos, seriously.
That's what it says. For personal projects, just some refinements needed because they migrated some tools. NuppyV, it mentions.
Okay, so that typo fixing.
Yeah.
It kind of illustrates how goals get interpreted, right?
Just so.
Well, was fixing tiny typos really hitting the spirit of contributing meaningfully? Maybe not. But technically, it was a daily PR contribution.
Fulfilling the letter, if not the spirit.
Exactly. It's like a strategy to keep the habit streak alive when maybe deeper work wasn't possible or appealing that week. Minimal effort to check the box. And the pet project work, the tool migration, that's necessary maintenance. Keeps things going, but it's not always the glamorous building cool stuff part of the goal.
Okay, writing goals. Effective communication, documenting progress, Targets. Publish 2 posts per day.
2 posts a day. Wow.
Yeah. And reading back old posts. Status. More random writing on topics that caught my attention.
Random writing.
Also a goal to blog about interesting GPUR tech, but again, nothing on this.
So similar pattern to reading and coding then.
Yeah.
The specific ambitious goals, 2 posts a day. The tech blogging didn't happen.
Nope.
But some activity did happen, just less directed. Random writing, driven by whatever popped up, it reinforces that idea. Maybe undirected activity is just easier to start and keep doing the very specific goal-focused work, especially when you're juggling.
Yeah, seems to be a theme. Let's look at the hands-on hobbies. Fish keeping. Goals. Joy in breeding.
Okay. Actions.
Specific actions listed. Using a yellow-blue rack for gardening, fish keeping stuff. Status. Nothing on this yet. Still contemplating.
We're still contemplating.
And finding fish or plant species for outdoor containers. Status. Nothing on this yet.
Right. So here we see contemplation versus action, maybe.
Seems like it.
Both were pretty concrete goals, but 0 action this week, still contemplating, explicitly calls out the barriers stuck in the planning phase. The outdoor container thing just didn't get prioritized, looks like.
Yeah.
With so many interests, some things are just going to fall by the wayside in any given week. And tracking this nothing yet is actually really informative. It shows you the areas that aren't getting traction, where inertia or other priorities are winning out.
True. Okay, gardening. Goals. Health. Nature connection. Skill building. Targets. Growing from seeds cuttings. Status. Still haven't resumed seed germination as I'm clearing spaces. Also notes no grow light.
Okay, clearing spaces. That connects back to the decluttering we talked about earlier, right, where the one-item habit was used in the garden. So this feels like, well, progress can be preparatory work. Not starting the seeds wasn't necessarily failure. It was explicitly linked to needing to clear spaces first. That's a prerequisite.
And setting up workspaces. Goal was 4 new ones.
How'd that go?
Started to utilize the front yard balcony area. Notes its indirect light. So, some progress there.
Yeah, setting the balcony is progress towards the gardening goal, even if it's not putting seeds in soil yet. It's creating the enabling conditions, focusing on the setup.
Makes sense. Last one, photography. Capturing memories, creativity, specific goal. Find the best macro lens for their phone.
Okay, research goal. Status.
Nothing on this.
Another one bites the dust for the week. It fits the pattern we saw with the specific reading goal and the fish keeping stuff. Research-based goals seem to get pushed aside this week.
Yeah.
It really rounds out the picture, doesn't it? Someone with tons of intentions, but limited time and energy means, well, some goals get consistent if imperfect action. Some get necessary prep work done, and others just stay on the to-do list, waiting for another week.
Okay, so let's zoom out now. We've gone through a lot of detail here. This whole review, it's just an incredible window into tracking personal progress when life is, well, complicated. What are the big takeaways, do you think, for anyone listening who might be trying something similar?
Well, first, and maybe the biggest thing for me, is just the sheer value of tracking itself. Consistently.
Even when it's messy.
Especially when it's messy.
Right.
Or inconsistent, or even when you do nothing in some areas. Just writing it down forces a kind of accountability. It gives you a true detailed picture of what's actually happening.
Not just what you think is happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seeing the actual step counts, the sleep ups and downs, the weight trend, those nothing on this notes.
Yeah.
It makes abstract goals feel concrete. It shows you where your time and energy are really going.
And it definitely highlights that idea that life isn't siloed, like you said earlier.
Oh, absolutely. Inflammation impacts fasting. Decluttering or clearing spaces enables gardening. Walking meditation happens while you're raking leaves. All these different bits, wellness, productivity, hobbies, they're constantly interacting. Tracking helps you actually see those connections.
Yeah, definitely.
And all those specific details, we pulled out the exact step numbers, the weight changes within the week, not just the start and end.
Mentioning raking leaves as activity, the trivial typo fixes?
Clearing one item, the drawer that got ignored, the goals marked nothing yet. These aren't just random data points. They're the texture of real progress, or lack thereof.
Right, the daily reality.
Yeah, the small wins, the points of friction. It's through digging into those granular details that the big picture of trying to build and maintain habits really comes alive. Small habits across lots of areas, even when they stumble. That seems to be the engine.
So for you listening, what can you take away from seeing someone track this much stuff with all this week-to-week variation?
Yeah, how might tracking Even just one or two areas, maybe your steps, your sleep, an hour of creative work,
Hmm.
or even that clear one tiny item thing. How might that illuminate your own progress? Or maybe show you where you're getting stuck?
Because this review, it shows those clear aspirational targets, right? 7 hours sleep, 7,000 steps.
And it shows the measured outcomes, the weekly averages, the weight change, but it also shows all those small, almost mundane actions and updates.
Clearing one item on the way to the kitchen, fixing trivial typos, noting, still contemplating, admitting, nothing on this yet.
Exactly. So what does that mix, big goals, measured results, and all those tiny, everyday, sometimes non-existent actions, what does that really tell us about how progress actually happens over time?
Is it really about hitting the big numbers all the time, or is it more about, I don't know, the cumulative effect of just showing up, however imperfectly?
Showing up for the small, messy daily stuff across a wide front and just tracking it honestly.
Yeah, maybe that's closer to the truth of it.
It definitely makes you wonder if the real engine of long-term progress is found more in that messy reality of consistently chipping away in small ways rather than perfectly nailing a few big metrics every single week.
Definitely something to ponder as you go about your week.